Let me see what's going on today at the Red Eye Loft. Well, folks, today's topic is going to be about city ordinance. Do you have a city ordinance? We have one right here where I live at in Palm Bay. The reason why I'm talking about this is been brought to my attention by two pigeon fanciers that in the city where they reside and keep pigeons, they're having problems. The problem is this. It starts out with one complaint. And from one complaint from a neighbor, city officials go out there, code enforcement, code compliance, whatever you call it in your city, they go out there and they check. And if they have a city ordinance on keeping pigeons and it's not in your favor, you're going to have problems. So, for this topic today, I'm going to say this, that when you keep pigeons, you want to do the best for the hobby in order to keep the pigeons and in order to have a successful time in keeping the pigeons. For me, like everybody else, started when I was 10 years old, and I've been having them since. Now, the folks that have called me, asked for pointers, advice, ask questions about the city ordinance in my city, here's what I say to them. Simply this. If you keep pigeons, know your ordinance, and then go about it in the best way, in the most positive way, to get that ordinance changed. For example, the adjacent city to me, it's Melbourne, and Melbourne has a city ordinance that you can keep pigeons, but you can only keep up to 4. But there's a problem. We all like to keep a little bit more than just 4. So here's what I explained to those two gents that are flying birds and keeping them. I advised them that the best thing they could do is go down to the city, look up the ordinance, read the ordinance, and then ask who do they need to speak to in order to amend that ordinance. And then you got to come up with good reasons why. You just can't go in there and say, well, I like to keep more than 4 because that's my preference, more than 4. They need to know why. But if you do it in a positive way, in a constructive way, then hopefully the end result is in your favor. You can keep more than just 4. So in order to do that, you got to show that you are a part of something. Do you belong to a club? Do you ban your pigeons? Do you inoculate? Do you vaccinate your pigeons? These are things that those folks down there at the city don't know. And they don't know because they're not educated. But if you educate them in the best way, in a positive way, maybe they'll listen, maybe they'll turn it around and help you out with amending that ordinance. And for all those out there watching my videos, you may not have an ordinance. And some of you guys probably do have an ordinance that you are not aware about. So, do your homework. Go down to the city. Be positive. Smile. Don't cost you nothing to smile. Be polite. Ask the questions. Ask how you can go about taking the proper steps in order to get that city ordinance changed. Luckily, I did this for this city. I did it probably about going on 8 years ago, I believe. 8 years ago, I had to do my homework, go down to the city, and talk to the officials down there and ask them, why can't I have my pigeons here in the city of Palm Bay? And in the end, it was in my favor. It worked out. Not only I can keep pigeons here, but many others that reside in Palm Bay can keep pigeons if they wish to do so. If you join a club, you pay your dues, you tell them it's a great hobby, you ban your birds, you vaccinate your birds. I mean, it's simple. There's people out there that don't vaccinate their dogs, but they have dogs in their home. But no one knows about it until it becomes a problem. Don't make it a problem. Educate those folks. Tell them what the pigeon hobby is all about. And do it in a positive way. That's the only way you're going to get ahead. There's guys out here watching my videos that live in rural areas, still you are a reflection of the pigeon community. If you don't keep a nice loft, if you don't keep it clean, if you don't keep your birds healthy, and if you don't keep your property nice, then folks that go out there, they'll see the birds as nothing but just dirty animal, dirty, pigeon. And let's face it, the only thing that people know about pigeons are the ones that they see underneath the parks, the bridges, in places where they're wild. Well, we have domesticated pigeons. Those are wild pigeons. There's a difference. Although they're incorporated under the same umbrella, same family, you got to tell them. Tell them about the history of the pigeon. There's World War veteran pigeons out there that have gotten medals in World War II. So if you have that knowledge and understanding and you are a good ambassador for the hobby, that's all you can do is share that knowledge. Tell them why the birds are good. It's good for young, old, middle-aged folks. It's something that you can do individually or as a group in a club. Whether you fly rollers, tipplers, homers, or even if you show birds like fantails, powders, and Chinese owls, and pigeons of all kinds. Don't fight the city. Work with the city. And that's all I can say. And those folks out there that know me, they know how to get a hold of me. If they have any other questions, feel free to call me. But on this Tippler Talk Tuesday, we're going to talk about the ordinance. Do you have an ordinance? Have you read your ordinance? And if it doesn't jive with what you want to do in your loft, then you need to approach it in a positive way, not in a negative way. And folks, don't lie. Don't lie to the city officials that say, I got rid of them, and then you bring them back into your yard or in your pen. If you're limited to a certain amount of birds, let's get that fixed. Instead of, from what I understand, the adjacent city next door, you're only allowed to keep 4. You're allowed to keep pigeons, but only 4. Well, the reality of it is, if you're time flying, you can't keep 4 pigeons. If you're racing, you can't keep 4 pigeons. If you're showing, you can't keep 4 pigeons. It's just not possible. But you got to tell them why. And that's important. So for those out there watching my videos, just a quick clip on city ordinance. Check your city ordinance in your area. See how it affects you. See what you can do to make it better. See what you can do to help others. And remember, we're all in this together. I've said it once and I'll say it again. If you're not part of the solution, then don't be the problem. And if you're out there and you're telling folks that you have birds and you've been having them since like 1991, that means nothing, because they get what you're telling the folks out there is just the surface. Be a little bit more in depth in detail of why you have birds. Not because I've been raising birds since 1991, but why do you have them? And another thing, if you tell folks out there that you eat your birds and you're keeping them as a hobby, those two don't mix. Because for that, it's a grocery store. We can go get all the food we need. If you do it in a positive way, you have birds because you're a member of a club and you're flying them and you're competing, that's important. That other stuff is not important. So don't go around telling folks that you eat your birds. It just doesn't look good. It doesn't look good for the whole pigeon community. We don't live in the 1800s. There's other ways of saving money. And if you don't like the chicken at the store, buy organic. What can I say? You pay a little more, but you're getting organic chicken. All right, folks. I think I beat this subject to death. Do your thing, folks. Stay humble. Be polite to others. Help each other out. Call somebody and we can work it out. So for those two guys that have called me, thank you for calling me and asking me what pointers they can get from my experience. And I appreciate that. Now, I've been through it. I've gone to the city. I've talked to the city about it. I got the city ordinance amended to work for me and my city and for all those out there flying the birds in the city of Palm Bay. So, thank you for watching. This is it for Tippler Talk Tuesday. Peace.